the Foundations product. I've been meaning to do another video on it for a while, so here we go. I'm going to first do the Balance Audition, and this already has a pretty nice exposure balance. I actually shot this in the middle of the afternoon. This is not, shot during early morning or evening golden hour. It's just shot probably right around noon. And the skies had been a little overcast earlier, but they, of course, the minute I got out, had opened up and we had full sunlight. So I just found a little spot in a little bit of shade, and you can see over here, that's where the sunlight's peeking through. Now I'm going to just quick show you, these are different exposure balances that I can choose to use. I'm just going to toggle through them. They're going to get progressively darker. So depending on the sort of look you want, let's say that I wanted it to be a little more intense, I could always go into this mask here, and I could use a black brush, and I could just go ahead and, maybe not that obviously, but sort of paint the areas that I wanted to be brighter out of that. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to actually go for one of these sort of middle ones, maybe like this. And I kind of like the way that the more even balance exposure number 3, I feel like it kind of evens it out, and I prefer the colors a little bit more. This is a springtime portrait, so I'm going to go with springy sort of feel here. And let's see. So what I'm going to do is, now I could go here and say to delete the hidden layers, or I could just go down here as well, and I could say delete unused layer adjustments, but just keeps my layers a little bit cleaner. Now that I have sort of zeroed in on the sort of exposure base that I like, I'm going to go into number 2, which would be retouching, and I am going to go ahead and select the full body shot combo. And this is going to be, very similar to what you would expect from a frequency separation. There is a softening layer and a sharpening layer. So I'm going to go here, opening up the folder. I'm going into the softening layer, which says full body blur, and with a soft white brush, and I'm going to set it here to about 30%. I am just going to go in and paint away, not like a lot of detail, because I like a lot of it, but any little details that might be distracting. I just like a little less distraction, and that even includes a little bit of, because the light's a little more contrasty than typical because of the time of day. This will actually lessen that effect. So again, I don't know if you can see it, this is just sharpening up a little bit, and like I said, very, very subtle, low opacity adjustment to the skin. And let's see, I'm just going to go down the list here and see what I like. So I'm going to give her a little bit of rouge, and it's not necessarily to put makeup on her. I just find that for my skin tones in general, they seem to look better if in a couple strategic areas I have, especially for things that get a little bluish, if I have a little bit of this blush on the cheek, it kind of seems to make the rest of the skin tone seem a little bit more natural, and you notice areas where perhaps there's some bluish cast or yellowish cast, you notice that a little bit less, I feel like, when I just add a little bit of rouge. So I added a little bit here to the cheeks, and maybe just a little touch to her lips. And then if there were areas that had some reddish cast to them that I didn't care for, I'm kind of looking through now, I don't see any, but I would do the opposite by hitting this reduced red brush, and I would just sort of hit any areas that perhaps had a cast red to them, or maybe if it was cold and her nose was a little red, maybe I would hit that slightly. I might try this glow effect, and that's just going to be a subtle little adjustment. We could always turn it up here in opacity if we wanted a stronger adjustment, and you could always paint out areas if you wanted that weren't working for you. So I'm going to leave it here close to where it was in the default, maybe just a little stronger than the default. And let's see here. I'm not going to use the brightened teeth or the eyeballs. Tough call here on the eye pop. Her highlights, or catch lights rather, are already, I picked them up pretty well just in camera, but I will, you can always just see how something looks, and if you don't like it, you can get rid of it. So I'm just going over these little catch lights with an 34% brush. Let's see. Hopefully, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Can you see that? So I'm just playing up those catch lights just a little bit. I will try the brown eye pop again. If I don't like it, I'll just turn this layer off. And I am going to keep that opacity around 34%. I'm going to make my brush even a little smaller, and I'm going to, whoops. Why is that 5? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I meant for this to be a much smaller brush. Here we go. And I'm using the brown eye pop because she actually has kind of hazel eyes. They look sort of brown though in this shot. They're actually a little more greenish golden, but if I accidentally get it on the skin, I will just brush that right on out with black. I might have done that in the catch light. Yeah, got a little bit of it here on the tip of her eye. So here we are, and again, pretty. Get back here to fit this all on the screen. Now let's see here. I am actually going to use a little bit of this chapped lips here. Just because she's kind of puckering her lips, I'm going to just soften that just a smidge. And that's a little heavy, so I'm just going to lower the opacity. I like a pretty natural edit, but you could change this however you would want to. Let's see here. I'm going to zoom out again. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and I'm going to merge the visible here, and I'm going to just do a couple of little cloning things. Some of the stuff is bugging me a little bit, so I could either do it through, I did it through just hotkeys there, or I could go basically selecting all of these, and then I could duplicate them, and then I could merge them, and you have essentially what I just did with my hotkey with making a layer visible. So I'm going to change the name of this and call it clone layer, and I will just add a mask out of, this is what I do, and I'm going to raise my opacity here a little bit. I'm just going to get rid of, there was a branch behind her that I don't love, so I'm going to see what it looks like without the branch. Oops, I had the wrong layer selected. Got to make sure that I have my, not the mask layer selected, but the image layer. And I am just going to come, in fact, I'm going to go over these areas on her dress so that I can work quickly. And I'm painting right over some of the flowers and some of the areas on her dress because I don't want to give away the fact that I am cleaning up this background a little bit. You see that I'm picking my area, I'm option clicking, and I'm going into little different areas, and I'm just slowly picking different areas to sample from, and that helps my cloning look more realistic. Move pretty quickly, but I pick a lot of different little areas to grab. Maybe in theory I could have done a better job making sure my location didn't have dead branches, all about it, but I'll be honest with you, when I have a 4-year-old willing to pose for me, I just get right on it, and I figure if I have to do a little bit of cloning afterward, I have to do a little bit of cloning afterward, because my biggest objective is just to get the moment. And while she is in a decent and cooperative mood, I just make sure that I'm getting things, I'm getting her, I'm getting everything in focus, and everything else can kind of come later. All right, so if I wanted it to be a little less, or maybe I over cloned out some of it, I could always just come back here, and with my paintbrush and painting in a little bit of black, I could always just, in a few areas, maybe I'll even lower my opacity, just kind of softly let some of that original stuff back in, and then I'm going to zoom in here towards around her dress, and now I'm just fine-tuning in my mask. Painting here the edges of the tulips back. I don't know why it always likes to somehow, I don't know if I do something weird, it always wants to default to that 5,000 pixel, which I don't know who would ever in their right mind want 5,000 pixels, not pickles, but anyway, there you have it. Always wants to do that on me, especially if I'm making a video. I guess that's just how Photoshop likes to keep me humble by making me look stupid with a 5,000 point brush, but whatever. Looks like I've got a little bit of hair that found its way into the clone. I will go in, and again, I'm just sampling this area, and I will get rid of that little cloning mistake I made. Okay, so, whoops, that was a clone mistake. You get on screen. So here we are. Let's just do a quick. We've used the first two sets from foundations, and we did a little clone. So here's where we started. Hello, where we started. And here's where our edit's at right now. Now let's see here. I'm going to just sort of, I feel like I look at things better when I don't have it too close to me. I like a little bit of, I like to be able to see things from a little bit more of a distance when I'm making sort of big picture decisions. I am going to do a little bit of burning, and I'm trying to decide if I want to do detail and tone or tone only. I think I'm going to do tone only, and if I don't like it, I'll just fix that later. I'm going to pick a nice big brush, And I'm going to go with a low percentage. And I'm just going to sort of paint these areas around here. You know what, it's occurring to me. Let's see here. I think what I want to do instead, I want to do a little bit more of a clone. So I'm going to duplicate this. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm not going to duplicate the cone. I'm going to do excessive way to do it. Go ahead again. Nice big brush. Clone layer. And I'm just, now I'm just removing some of the areas here that was, I'll show you. I just didn't like this little spot. Getting into pretty little details here. Let me just see here. I'm going to click out of my retouching and go into the depth, contrast, and glow, but I think I'm liking how this is all looking. I guess we could just try it, never hurts. I could do brighten highlights. And yeah, I guess that's cute. I'm going to, though, go ahead and at 100%, I am going to not brighten the highlights in the background. I want her face to really be the only thing that is getting bright highlights. So as you can see now, it's just right around her that is getting the highlight. Let's see, is there anything else that I want to do? Let's just try, see what Warm Pop does. It's kind of nice, but I'm going to lower the opacity, maybe to 9%. And let's see here. Color and tone. Again, I don't really see many casts. I guess there's a little bit of a bluish cast down here, which I will fix. Change my opacity here. So paint out the blue cast. Alrighty. I'm going to make sure that I'm painting with white into this. And if you see, it's kind of funny, little detail. She dressed herself. She put this dress on. She loves wearing wardrobe. So she put this little dress on and she chose the shoes. And if you notice, she put her shoes on the wrong foot, so the buckle's actually backwards, which I think is just charming and probably a detail that only I am going to remember and notice, because I did notice it when we were there, but I thought, you know, I have so limited time with her where she's going to sit and look at the camera or, you know, do what I ask of her, that I thought I'm not even going to worry about that. So let's just see. Can you see how it's kind of removing and neutralizing that blue cast? And let me just see if there's any place else that has a little bit of a bluish cast, perhaps here in her forehead or under her eye a little bit, perhaps in her elbow. And what I can do if I want to make sure that that brush work that I'm doing is not going to leave any edges, I have a soft brush selected. As you can see, the hardness, well, it was at 7%, but now it's at 0. 7% is not going to do anything, but I am actually even going to go into that mask layer and I am going to just mask blur a little bit so that those selections that I made are even more subtle when you would zoom up. So let's see here. Is there any other, maybe a little bit of a yellowish cast here on her hair? So I don't want to do an overall one because there's no overall cast, so I'm going to go to paint out yellow cast. We'll see how this looks. Maybe just at the top here. Let's see here. Yeah, I think that's helping a little bit. There was a little bit of yellowishness there that was bugging me. And let's see here, greenish cast. I'm going to paint out the greenish cast right here again, and not too much green cast, but maybe just right here a little bit. And again, I'll just hit this area around her shoes, anything that was close to the grain. All right, so I think I'm done worrying about all of those casts. I think where I'm going to go now is the saturation. There's a couple of different options. There's bright blush, or I could go with golden. It's also pretty. I think I like golden better. So I'm going to go with that. There was some area that I didn't want to be brightened up. Let's say I don't like the saturation on that grass. I can go in here and I can paint that right on out. So we don't have to have saturated greens. And let's see here. There's a bunch of other actions you can play, but I'm just keeping this really simple. This is for just, I get asked a lot about just, starting edits on your own kids or your grandkids. And so I just want to show how I would approach just a nice little simple edit. Let's see, these are a lot of correction brushes. If I had chromatic aberrations or whatnot, extra sharp detail brush or non-destructive burning or dodging brushes. Don't think I'm going to get into that so much today. I think if anything, I'm going to skip right to the vignettes, and I just want to try out some different vignettes just to see what it would look like to frame her a little bit. So I'm going to hit the audition button, and I'm going to let this just kind of go through and audition. And let's just see. Okay. And let's see. Ooh, okay. I definitely like the bottom vignette because it's bothering me that this area is so light. So I'm kind of like mentally remembering that I like the bookend, I like the bottom. These have colors. So that's chocolate milk. It's a corner vignette. It's a deep golden vignette. Ooh, I kind of like that. I wonder if I would like it more if I had it lower the opacity a little bit. Ooh, I might like that. Let's see what that was like with a little lower bookend. I'm getting crazy with my percentages, but I think that's nice. Now, this is like, I swear to you, the hardest part for me. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at that, and I'm going to again say delete hidden layers so that I don't have a bigger Photoshop file than I need to. Seriously, here comes the hardest part for me of any photo, and that is this, the crop. I struggle with the crop. I do. But I think I'm just going to zoom in a little bit tighter on her face. And again, watch me struggle. Struggling in real time. Live. It's so exciting for me to. But here we go. I think I prefer that. Last thing, it just hit me. And of course, after I get out of foundations. But you know what? I am going to go to this detail brushes and I am going to do the backlight recovery enhanced color just around the edges of her hair. Let's see what this looks like. Again with the 5000. Hate. All right. Aha, I do like that. So I'm just going here around the very edges of her hair. And I'm allowing this brush, which is the Backlight Recovery Enhanced Color brush, just gonna let that, maybe I'll use a bigger brush here. I'm going to let that just create a little separation with where her hair, which is already sort of glowing. Just let that help to really make your eyes zoom in on her face. Again, I'll make it small and I'll raise the opacity here. Just on these little hair edges to, she's not really backlit, but this kind of will help. One of the things I love about backlight is how the subjects sort of pop off against the background. When I don't have that strong backlight, it's harder to get that separation. So this helps me do that. And then I'm going to just go down here and again do the mask blur and small brush selection, because of course I'm using a small brush, and it's going to just make that a little bit softer for me. All right.